Hi, friends. So this week in my Heal What Hurts online healing circle, we went into what to do when you're triggered. What is a skillful way to cope when you're triggered? Well, first of all, you have to know that you're triggered. And that starts with a contraction somewhere in the body, which you won't detect if you're not present in the body. So you could say first you contract someplace, and then you start to not breathe right, and then you kind of cut yourself off in a sense from your higher self, from your more divinely directed self. And then what's left is the survival self, is the little kid that feels all alone, that feels the desperation of not feeling loved or safe or like they belong. And by that point, it's really hard to pull back and reconnect to higher self. And that's when most of us will engage in either lashing out at someone else. If I could just get this person to not do that, I wouldn't have to feel so contracted, or numbing out. If I could just get something to relax or soothe myself, sugar, alcohol, scrolling, anything to not feel the contraction. Or checking out, like, I'll just pretend I am not my body at all. I'm just in my head, and I don't have to deal with what's really going on in my body. So at that point, it gets harder to pull back in and actually go in to the little crying kid in the crib and say, hey, I've got you. I love you, and to help that part of yourself relax. And that's why it's so crucial to stay very grounded in the body. And it's not really enough to say, well, now I'm triggered, I have to ground in my body. Well, by the time you're triggered, like I said, there's this contraction that makes that really hard. But if you have a daily practice of scanning your body, checking in with your body, working with a slow, deep breath, then you will catch the trigger before it's like kind of the point of no return. Now, when you feel that trigger coming on and you kind of know, okay, I'm going to go down the road or whatever my out is, but if I catch it early, I can pull back and say, okay, I'm stirred in my body. Something is contracting in my throat. I have to breathe and kind of shed that contraction that has started to happen inside of me, and then take some time away. Whatever is triggering you, and there are, of course, times when you're not going to be able to kind of step back, but like I say, there's almost always the excuse of I need to go to the bathroom, and that can be a great place to go, and whether it's a stall in a public restroom or if it's a bathroom in a home, but that is a private space where you can sit and check in with yourself and relax your body and deepen your breath and feel what's really happening. And then you're a lot less likely to go out and then say, okay, now I'm going to come at you with my lashing out, or I'm going to need something to take the edge off. Now, what we discussed in the class was to get really clear on what your primary out is. And it's not like there's just one. Like, you could have a numbing agent that you like, but you might also be someone who likes to lash out. But if you know what your number one, say, just numbing agent is, then you can name that. And then when you feel like reaching for that, you might be able to have this little pause in between and say, I'm going to, drink a glass of wine now. It's like, oh, wait a minute, that's my numbing agent. Why am I doing this? And if in that moment you can say to yourself, I'm going to just sit for a moment. I can have my wine, I can have my sugar, I can do the thing that I really want to do, but I'm going to just give it a moment and then check in with self, be with whatever's contracting in the body. And what you'll discover is that the numbing agent will, if not lose its appeal, you will want less of it. That's kind of how it starts. And that's very different from just kind of cold turkey cutting yourself off from a numbing agent, which obviously can be necessary at times if an addiction has gone way out of control, where you just got to quit it because it's really hurting your body. But say it's something innocent like a glass of wine, if you can take that little pause to sit with yourself and breathe into what is contracted in the body and be real about what's really going on. You know what? That really scared me. When I got that text, I felt unloved. Or when I didn't get a text, I felt, unsafe, or like I didn't really belong in a situation with this person. And then tend to that feeling. And like I said, then the next step will probably be less of the numbing agent and might be more of a tending to self. I liken it to if you have a little kid that's really sad, and just you can see it in their face, and they're maybe crying and maybe even starting to act out. If you could pick that kid up and hold this kid and just really give that kid love, they would probably relax and not act out anymore. You could also stick them in front of the TV. You could also give them a lollipop, right? And we do that, right? We do that sometimes with kids. Oh, come on, you'll feel better. You just watch this movie, i.e., don't feel what's happening inside of you and just be distracted by something outside of you. And that can all come from a very innocent place, but a slightly ignorant place of what a kid really needs in that moment. And it's not so different from what we need as an adult. So whether you're in the course or not, I just want to give you that as a reminder to yourself to stay really present in the body. I have a lot of meditations. I'll link one of them below just so you can access it if you want to try one, that helps you really feel your body, be with your body. There's so much going on inside that if we could be willing to be with it and hold it, it would relax. So think of a wounded area, something that's happened in your past that's kind of being re-triggered by something in the present, as going like, kind of like pulling the tendrils in. Aye. And then the holding is sort of a relaxing and coming back out of your shell. And then in that moment, you really reconnect in a more conscious way with the divine. And that's where the real healing and help comes from. It can also work well if you feel that contraction and it's hard for you to release it, to pray, to invoke the divine, which is at the core of who you are. But in that moment, it's hard to feel that. You feel cut off from any love or anything that would be there for you. To say, God, I'm so scared right now. I'm feeling this pit in my stomach. Please be with me. Please fill me with your peace. Please fill me with your light, with your love. Let me feel that. And even as I'm saying that, I could feel something release from my chest. And maybe that's the last thing I will say to you in this video. I think there's always something to shed. Every single day, there's something that's accumulated, something that we could let go, that we're kind of in a constant process of contracting and releasing. And the goal is to be more relaxed and expansive and less contracted and tight and kind of cut off. So you will catch those contractions and that tightening up and tensing up and bracing more the more you take time to feel your body and to notice your breath every day. That's probably good, but that's really good advice, honestly, if you can incorporate that. And like I said, I'll link a really good meditation below that I think anybody could benefit from, and kind of checking in lovingly with themselves. So have a beautiful week. I love you.